Hunter Local Land Services was after a snapshot of what was happening in the peri-urban areas with regards to vertebrate pests. REM was engaged to set up motion cameras to actually see whether there was any vertebrate pests that were impacting these smaller peri-urban areas. Peri-urban properties lie on the fringes of our built-up urban areas and also are on the fringes of our larger rural properties. The peri-urban area has been highlighted as one of those hotspots where, because of the land size and its location, it's kind of missed. Urban areas are looked after by local councils, with rangers dealing with any stray dogs or cats. In the rural areas, farmers and property owners are basically managing any vertebrate pests because of their impact on their stock and their actual income or profit. These areas are kind of missed because they're smaller and can't use the traditional vertebrate pest management programs or techniques to eliminate or reduce the numbers. As a result, you've got these areas, these peri-urban areas that are impacted by foxes, wild dogs, feral cats, pigs, deer. The cameras were set up for a 13-week period and were periodically checked throughout the program. In the Manning Great Lakes area, we ended up with 6 sites. The 6 sites were divided into 2 areas. The 2 areas included Wherrol Flat, where we actually only had 1 site established, and the second area was Bobin, and we had 5 sites established there. The results to the Manning Great Lakes region were really interesting, with vertebrate pests ranging from wild rabbits through to wild dogs, and our native fauna ranging from bandicoots through to possums. The results indicate the vertebrate pests captured on camera across the 6 different sites. You'll note that 2 sites had no vertebrate pests, which was great news, and it's interesting to note that the foxes and wild dogs that were located on these properties, it wasn't just one-off. These foxes and wild dogs were regular visits to these properties. So you'll see that 4 out of the 6 properties had red foxes. There were wild dogs on 4 of the 6 properties as well. There were stray cats or feral cats on 3 of the 6 properties, and there was only wild rabbits identified on 1 of the 6 properties. We'll move now through to the native fauna results for the 6 properties. And the good news is native fauna was captured on the cameras at all 6 properties. 5 out of the 6 properties had native birds, and you'll also see that there were kangaroos and wallabies also on 5 of the 6 properties. Coming down from that, you'll see that there were brush-tailed possums at 4 of those 6 locations. 1 of the 6 locations had a long-nosed bandicoot, and there was also a lace monitor picked up on 1 of those properties as well. We'll now look at the native birds captured on camera. All 6 properties had avifauna results, ranging from the cute little eastern yellow robin through to the larger Australian raven. The second property at Bobin, which actually had no vertebrate pests there, resulted in having the most bird species. So there's a little correlation there. Basically, if we remove wild foxes and feral or stray cats from our environments, we find that our native wildlife increase, particularly birds and small mammals. So the sooner we can all work together to remove these vertebrate pests from our environments, the healthier and the happier our native fauna will be. So in wrapping up, vertebrate pest animals were recorded at 4 of the 6 participating properties. Wild dogs and European red foxes were the most dominant pest species. Feral and stray cats were the next dominant species, and as mentioned before, wild rabbits were only photographed on 1 of the properties in Bobin. There was abundance of native birds and animal present on all of the properties. Due to the presence of the pest animals, it is apparent that peri-urban areas will require assistance in managing, controlling and eliminating vertebrate pests, which will in turn assist in protecting our native fauna. I suggest if you believe that you have any of these vertebrate pests visiting your land, get in contact with your local land services, who will be able to steer you in the right direction. They actually have motion sensor cameras available for use on your site, and they'll give you a range of instructions on how to establish it, to see actually what's out there. They'll then steer you in the right direction. They have a range of cage traps to assist in catching, your feral or stray cats or foxes. If you're getting into the bigger wild dogs, pigs, etc., they'll be able to steer you in the right direction and work with you to undertake vertebrate pest management programs to reduce and hopefully eliminate these animals on your property.